You need to smell like this before summer ends. Is this still worth it? I've been meaning to do a review of this for a while, but before I get started on this, I want to go ahead and apologize for just the way I sound. I've been sick over the last week, and honestly, I had lost my voice yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I just barely today I'm able to speak, and hopefully I can get through this video. So let me go ahead and give you a review of Hawas Ice and what I think of it compared to the original Hawas, what I think it smells like, and then I also want to tell you my honest review if I think it's even worth it. I do think it's a good fragrance, but let's go ahead and jump into the details. Presentation wise, it's very much like the original Hawas. It's just a very similar bottle, a little less purple and a little more blue. Does have a white cap compared to the stainless steel black chrome looking cap from the original Hawas, and the box is basic. Rasasi doesn't do anything fancy with their boxes, and this is really no exception. You don't really need anything fancy from the presentations, but it's good bottle overall. It's fairly decent. Does have the seal at the bottom, which will tell you when it was manufactured. Mine was manufactured a year ago, so this is a good bottle and it should be fairly macerated. Okay, so jumping into the notes here, I like to give them to you just so you have an understanding. But to be quite frank, they mean very little sometimes because I have shared this before, but it's just sometimes the notes smell different from person to person. But these notes are described as like fruity, sweet, and then a little bit of powder. I struggle to smell the powder with this, but I do smell the floral, a little bit of a slight floral notes, primarily fruity. You get sweetness, and then you get a little bit of, to me, a slight hint of floral. Very, very, very light in the background. And that's kind of what you're gonna get here. It smells very, very close to the original Hawas, but to me, it adds a tad bit of sweetness to it, almost like a sweetness, not in the sense like you would get like a vanilla fragrance, but more of a candied fruit kind of feel, like a candied apple, just as you would bite into it, which kind of, actually, as a matter of fact, reminds me personally a lot of the Nitro Red DNA. Yeah, this one has more of a watermelon tone to it, but I think it reminds me so close to the Nitro Red by Dumont. And I think if I have Nitro Red, I wouldn't buy Hawas Ice. Is Hawas Ice better than Nitro Red? I mean, maybe. That's kind of debatable. But I think it's okay, and I would not buy both because it is kind of redundant. As a matter of fact, I actually don't think I would personally buy Hawas Ice if I have the original Hawas. Those are just my 2 cents. I think it's worth saving your money and getting a fragrance that's completely different as opposed to spending your money on fragrances that are kind of similar. Let's go ahead and jump into its performance, quality, and talk about a little bit about that because ultimately that's kind of what matters. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get some on skin. Okay. On skin, I think it's a fragrance that smells very, very good. A lot of times fragrances don't smell quite the same, but I think on skin, this thing does a very, very good job. When it comes to projection, it projects fairly well for a freshy, sweet fragrance. It does a very good job. Earlier, I compared it to Nitro Red, and I mean, compared to Nitro Red, it does project less, but I think it does its own thing and it smells pretty good. It kind of gives me fruity pebbles, you know, the ones with the Flintstones. That's the kind of vibes it gives me here at the very opening. That fruity, sweet smell, but it's a good smelling fragrance. I think it's good, and I can see why it's so highly rated, why it was so hyped, and why it's very popular. Compliment getter, I can see that. Longevity, I would say it's a little above average. It stays pretty close. I would say about an hour, 2 hours where it projects. Then it kind of dies down a little bit. And then you do get a scent bubble that's about 4 to 5 hours, I would say roughly. I can see going nose blind to this scent. I have personally gone nose blind to scents like this very frequently, like Nitro Red. And I can see that happening here, but I've actually gotten better performance out of the original Hawas than the Ice. Again, my opinion on that. And the sillage here it's okay. You'll get about 2 to 3 feet out of it. Because of that, it makes it very appropriate for the gym, which is good. I mean, you don't want to smell like butt, but you also don't want to choke out everyone at the gym with something over the top. So I think 2 sprays for the gym is perfect. Usual day to day, I would do about 6 to 8 sprays of the Hawas. You can even do intermediate sprays where you start off with 4, and then a couple minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, you can spray another 4 to kind of layer it on top and go from there. Those are my thoughts. I think it's a good fragrance if you don't already own something like Nitro Red. I think it's a good fragrance if you don't already own Hawas, the original, which is personally my choice here. And I do think it's worth it. I can see why it's hyped. If you can get a good deal, I would definitely not overpay for it. And of course, and I always preach this, is do not buy the fake of this. It's fairly inexpensive. Save your dollars and get the real deal so you can start smelling totally legit. Thank you so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate you. And let me know if there's any fragrance that you want me to do a review. I got a whole bunch I have to review for all of you, but I want to make sure I make quality content where I feel good and I can actually say those things that I actually want to say. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.